All right, let's dive right into this explainer. You know, we live on a planet with this incredibly fascinating dual reality. On one hand, nature creates breathtaking mountains, endless oceans, and life itself. But on the other, that exact same power can suddenly transform into incredible, world-reshaping destruction. Today, we're looking at the most terrifying natural disasters ever recorded. We're going to examine how these forces reshape continents, destroy cities, and really remind us that despite all of our incredible modern technology, we're still deeply vulnerable to the sheer force of our planet.
To really wrap our heads around these chaotic forces today, we're going to follow a pretty clear path. We'll start with Earth's sudden strikes, move on to deadly waters and winds, then look at the slow burns, and finally, how humanity is preparing for the future.
So, Part 1, Earth's Sudden Strikes. We're kicking things off with the most anxiety-inducing category of all, terrestrial violence with literally zero warning.
Earthquakes are just uniquely terrifying, aren't they? They completely shatter this fundamental illusion we all have, that the ground beneath our feet is solid and permanent. I mean, they strike without a single second of warning. One moment everything is fine, and seconds later entire buildings, bridges, and roads can just collapse. Think back to the devastating 2010 earthquake in Haiti. It hit Port-au-Prince and tragically ended hundreds of thousands of lives, leaving millions homeless in the blink of an eye. And the nightmare doesn't even stop with the shaking. It's like a domino effect, triggering landslides, fires, and even tsunamis.
Now, I want you to just look at this number. 830,000. That is absolutely staggering. That represents the estimated lives lost in just one single seismic event. We're talking about the 1556 earthquake in China's Shaanxi province. To put that into perspective, it remains one of the deadliest earthquakes in all of recorded history. And while sure, scientists are always getting better at monitoring seismic activity, accurately predicting exactly when and where an earthquake will hit, that's still one of the absolute biggest challenges in modern science.
So what happens when all that massive seismic energy shifts underwater? Well, it triggers tsunamis. And honestly, the physics behind them are fascinating. Out in deep ocean water, a tsunami might look completely harmless. You'd barely notice it. But, and here is the terrifying part, because it's carrying the ocean's immense power at incredible speed, the second it hits shallow water near land, it grows into this towering, high-speed wall of water.
And tragically, we saw the ultimate realization of this back in 2004. A massive 9.1 magnitude earthquake struck off the coast of Indonesia, generating a tsunami that literally wiped entire villages off the map in minutes. Over 230,000 lives were lost. It's just a mind-boggling toll that stretched across 14 interconnected nations around the Indian Ocean. It was a brutal wake-up call, though it did lead to some major, much-needed improvements in global tsunami warning systems.
Right. Before we leave the solid Earth, we have to talk about volcanoes, because their range of destruction is just wild. On one hand, you've got localized, instant terror. Think Mount Vesuvius in AD 79. It erupted so violently that it buried Pompeii and Herculaneum in thick ash, essentially freezing their final moments in time. But then, contrast that with Mount Tambora in 1815. Tambora exploded with such force that it pumped an enormous amount of ash into the atmosphere and literally choked the global climate. It caused what they called the year without a summer in 1816, leading to widespread food shortages all around the world. It really shows how a single eruption can starve populations half a world away.
Moving on to Part 2, Deadly Waters and Winds. Let's shift our focus from those sudden underground strikes to trackable atmospheric terrors.
Whether you call them hurricanes, typhoons, or cyclones, depending on where you live, they are the exact same beast, incredibly powerful tropical storms. Let's compare two modern catastrophes to really see this. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina struck the U.S. The real danger there wasn't just the wind, it was the catastrophic levee failures in New Orleans that led to massive flooding and over 1,800 deaths. Fast forward to 2013, Typhoon Haiyan hits the Philippines. This time, it was the record-breaking winds and massive storm surges that completely flattened entire communities. With climate scientists tracking warmer ocean temperatures, preparing for these intense systems is, well, it's absolutely crucial for coastal populations right now.
But you know, it's not just the coasts that are at risk here. Floods are actually among the most common natural disasters, and yet they remain incredibly deadly. Heavy rainfall or rapid snowmelt can just cause rivers to completely overflow. Now, floods usually develop over hours or even days, which you'd think would give people plenty of time to run, right? But unfortunately, they regularly trap vulnerable populations. Take the 1931 floods in China, for example. The Yangtze and Huai rivers overflowed, affecting millions and bringing massive famine and disease. It absolutely cemented its place as one of the deadliest natural disasters in all of recorded history.
All right, Part 3, the slow burns.
We are pivoting to a totally different kind of terror now. Crises that build up gradually over weeks, months, or even years. Let's talk about wildfires for a second. Fire is actually a totally natural, even necessary part of many ecosystems. But when you mix extreme heat, prolonged drought, strong winds, shifting climate patterns, and human activity, wow. These accelerants turn small natural blazes into unstoppable infernos. We've seen this recently playing out in Australia, Canada, Greece, Portugal, the US. Millions of acres just gone, thousands of homes destroyed. And the scary part isn't just the flames. The smoke from these infernos can travel thousands of kilometers, causing massive public health emergencies way beyond the actual fire line.
It really highlights this crazy, almost paradoxical diversity in nature's threats. Think about it. On one hand, you have a flash flood, instantaneous destruction, sweeping away cars and infrastructure in minutes. Literally, blink and it's gone. On the exact opposite end, you've got prolonged droughts. These develop so gradually. It's a slow, creeping death of water shortages and widespread crop failure. Because it happens so slowly, it's really hard to recognize until severe damage is already done. I mean, historically, prolonged droughts have literally caused entire civilizations to collapse and forced massive human migrations.
And nestled right inside these larger weather and climate events, you have these highly destructive, localized hazards like landslides and avalanches. Heavy rain, rapid snow buildup, or even just a minor earthquake can destabilize a whole mountainside. And suddenly, you have enormous amounts of rock, soil, or snow rushing downhill at just unimaginable speeds. We've seen entire villages in mountain regions just buried. So while they are localized, their speed and sheer mass make them incredibly lethal.
Which brings us to part 4, preparing for the future. I know, disasters can feel overwhelmingly bleak, but let's look at how humanity is actively fighting back.
The good news is, we are not helpless. Modern science and infrastructure are dramatically reducing casualties, and we can break this down into 4 clear steps. Step 1, we deploy advanced satellite tracking to actually see the storms before they hit. Step 2, implementing highly sensitive seismic monitoring. Step 3, and this one is a real game changer, enforcing modern construction standards so our buildings bend instead of break. And finally, Step 4, investing in global early warning networks. International cooperation is just so vital here. When disaster strikes, countries share humanitarian aid and rescue teams. We can't eliminate the hazards, but we can absolutely engineer our survival. So, if there's one thing you take away from this explainer, it's beautifully summarized right here. Preparation saves lives. Yes, these events bring unimaginable destruction, but they also inspire these extraordinary acts of courage, compassion, and global cooperation. By respecting nature and educating our communities on evacuation and response, we're making our society so much more resilient.
The future is definitely going to bring new challenges, for sure. Earthquakes, tsunamis, shifting climates, they're going to keep testing us. So as our world gets more interconnected and our environments keep changing, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to consider for your own community. As the winds shift and the ground rumbles, are we ready for tomorrow's storms?